Here, and I want to introduce Noah Castillon, one of our brand new acquisition specialists.
What's going on, everybody?
And if you don't know me, by the way, today we're going to review a live training that we did. So today is Noah's second day, and we're going to talk about what happened on his first day and some new leads that we're attacking today. We're going to talk about how to close. Now, if you don't know me, my name is Todd Toback, and our company has closed probably a little bit more than 1,000 houses over a 6 or 7 year period. And 95% of those were locked up by our team, which is really exciting, which is what we're going to talk about today. Now, if you have not been over to my website, head on over to nextlevelwholesaling.com, and there is a Next Level Wholesaling business assessment there where you can rate yourself in the 4 core areas of your business. That is acquisition, disposition, marketing, and cash flow and accounting. Got to go there, take the assessment, take the score, and it'll tell you exactly where you are, okay, so you can get to where you are going. So most important, let's dive right into it. And if you're watching this, if you can leave questions right in the comment section about deals that we're talking about, or deals that maybe that you're interested in, or stuff you're working on right now, we'd love to answer it to the best of our ability. Also in the comments, let me know where you are watching from, what city and state, and the number of deals that you have done. So Noah, let's talk about it. I mean, first day, let's talk about something highly unusual, right? Highly unusual. So you got in the office, we started training, right? Mm-hmm. Tell us what happened.
So the first thing we did yesterday when I came in was we actually role played before we got on the phone, and just went through a scenario. And it was about, a minute to 2 minutes of just role playing, and then I got on the phone, and no joke, we had almost word for word the scenario popped up on the first call.
Okay, by the way, what do they call that? Where like you're thinking about something, or you're role playing something, or something happens and then it appears in your life.
The law of attraction?
Law of attraction, right? Law of attraction. And so I don't believe that is some spiritual thing, right? I believe that kind of we see. One of my coaches, he says, Dan Sullivan, he says that your brain only your brain only hears, right, what your eyes and your ears are looking for. He says it a little different, right? Yeah. Or I'm sorry, your eyes only see and your ears only hear what the brain is looking for. So sorry, Dan Sullivan, on that one. And so, yeah, we dove right into it, and we saw the situation. So which phone call was that? How many phone calls?
It was phone call number 1.
Phone call number 1, and first day, which was pretty exciting, okay? Yeah. So tell them, I mean, what happened at the end of the phone call? Well, actually, I won't spoil it for anybody here, but let's talk about the deal. What was the situation?
So the situation was the owner actually was the executor of an estate.
Okay.
And he had his nephew living in the property, and was really we found out he was tired of the nephew living there. Mm-hmm. He wanted to get rid of it, and it was, again, his nephew, so his sister's son was living there for quite some time, and this guy was just over it. And that's exactly kind of what we role-played that same scenario, and it happened. Mm-hmm. So he told us he had listed it.
He said he had listed it.
Yeah, okay. He told us he had listed it, but that the agent was flexible, and anything could happen. So we just kind of pursued the conversation and found out it wasn't listed after we got off the phone. Mm-hmm. And we dug a little more deeper to find out exactly why he wanted to sell it.
Okay, so a couple things to learn there, right? Not everything that comes out of a seller's mouth is true, right? And it's not necessarily they're lying, they may not even know, mm-hmm. right? Or that agent may have been a family member. Right. And so whenever you get family members involved in real estate transactions, cha-ching, 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 that's pretty fun, right? Yeah. So that's pretty exciting. Okay, so we got the deal. By the way, in the database, we look back, and 3 or 4 prior contacts, he said, no, I'm good. I'm listing it. I don't need to sell, right? Yeah. There was a situation, though, brewing, right? You could smell it, right? Mm-hmm. You were there, right time, right situation, got on the phone. Now you're hot on the trail of the deal, right? Yeah. So try to tell us the little specifics of the deal. What happened? What did we propose? What was the loan amount?
Yeah. So this specific particular deal had and didn't have too much room in it. He owed about $322,000, and it was worth probably as is $350,000.
Okay.
So we could either, the only options were offer the all cash price, but it wouldn't really net anything for anybody.
Right. A little tight. It's a little tight.
Yeah. Or we could do the, Todd was in the room, so he suggested, putting down, giving him some money up front, and then taking over the payments with keeping the loan in place.
Ooh, that's juicy. Okay, so let's talk about taking over the payments. By the way, Michael Jake, this one is for you. If you don't know Michael Jake, follow him on Facebook. Love you, my man. But what's cool about this is this was a HAMP loan. A HAMP loan. HAMP loan is I don't even know what this thing stands for. So, but it's the Home Affordable Modification Program. Home Affordable. It's something that President Obama put in place, and it was a modified loan. Long story short, 5% loan on about 305, 308, something like that. And then it had like $13,000 of delayed principal, no interest, which is really cool. So we agreed to take over that principal, take over the loan, right, without assuming it. We're taking title subject to the existing financing, right? And I actually did a video that I'm going to post actually on another house that I took title to the existing financing. But we're going to take over that loan. Now, we don't have to qualify for it. We don't have to call the bank and tell them the seller's just going to deed us the property. We agreed to buy it for $375,000, so we did agree to put down $47,000, which the seller is going to get up front, right? So we're going to come in with that cash and give that seller up front. We're going to take over that nice, juicy loan. Now, once we fix up the property, or if we fix it, or if we keep it as a rental, or if we rehab and resell it, what's it worth?
It's worth about $490.
$490? Is it 40 or 490?
It's closer to 490.
Okay, so worth about 490 fixed up. We don't know how much work it needs yet, so we are about to find that out. All right, so now it's go time, right? Now let's take us through. We've got the verbal commitment, right? He says yes. Now, what happened yesterday? Towards the end of the day, he said yes. We kind of made a mistake. What did we learn?
Well, right when so we negotiated. It took about an hour to get the deal, actually a verbal commitment. And right when we're saying, hey, we're going to send over the paperwork, he says, okay, I'll sign it. But did I tell you about the solar issue?
Well, let's go back to that, because the solar structure I don't think is going to be an issue, right? Yeah. So let's talk about kind of like why we didn't get the contract yesterday.
Yeah.
Let's talk about why we didn't get it yesterday. Okay, so go ahead.
So initially we were talking to him, and then he wanted to talk it over with his sister, and then I believe another party. So he's like, let me call you back, and then he did. He called us back in about half hour, and then we ended up sending it over towards the end of the day, and we didn't get it back till this morning.
Okay.
Yeah.
So why didn't we get it back yesterday, do you think?
I don't know. You tell me.
So, well, we should have set a commitment, right?
Yeah.
So one of the things when you have a seller who you're both in agreement, and you're going to give him what he asked for, right? And he wants to do the deal. You want to, get the deal done, right? A lot can happen overnight. A lot of, change minds and all this other stuff, right?
Yeah.
So what we should have done is we should have sent him the agreement, had him open it in front of us, answer any questions, and get it done, right?
Yeah.
Thankfully, the deal stuck overnight, right? And he had one concern, by the way, right? He had one concern, which we were able to address, by the way. So when you have rapport and when things are going, you can just say, hey, like, why don't we have the agreement? What's going on? Tell me what's going through your head. Tell me why you're uneasy. Tell me why your voice sounds funny, right? Whatever that is, right? We were able to do that and extract that real objection from him. So without getting into like the boring details, go into the solar, but just, not to bore everybody.
Sure. But yeah, the main thing was that there was we don't know how much the lien is, but there is a small lien, and his concern was if that doesn't get resolved, if you guys either can't negotiate that lien down or assume it as the buyer, am I going to still be, can I back out as well? So he wanted to make sure that he wasn't going to be stuck with the property, if we couldn't figure out the lien situation. So we just had to put a provision in there this morning saying that if we could not come to a resolution on that solar issue, that the solar panel issue, that either him or us can back out.
Right. So, the biggest thing is, like, we don't force sellers to do business with us, right? So if he wants to get out, we have no problem with that. But, down the line, it's a good deal for him. It's a good deal for us. He's getting a great price. And I doubt that it's going to be an issue. And we're able to lock down the deal. And should be a nice little profit. First day, first deal, first phone call. Not bad, man. High five, right? Way to do it. So let's talk about the rest of the day, right? And by the way, let me see if I can actually share this. I wonder if I can actually share this while I'm watching here. No, I'll share this afterwards. Okay, by the way, if you are watching this, and by the way, our other acquisition specialist, Angie's killing it. You saw another video over here. I got a couple properties here, hot on a property named Bacon. Pretty cool. So let's talk about what you learned today. So we got into the you dug into the database, right? We've got a lot of leads in there, right? It's easy to be swimming. Tell us what you focused on and why we focused on those.
So there are some leads in there that we have been labeled more hot than not. We just labeled them A, B, or C. And the goal is really to focus on those A's because we could easily get distracted in our task field to look at all of the tasks. Some may not be as hot as the others. So that was a cool strategy Todd showed me today, is just to focus on A, and then also as I'm calling them, I can actually change that to a B or a C.
So one of the things that I've always called that is your top 30, right? Is that at any time you should have about 30 hot and warm leads that you're working, right? Those are like, these are the people who have a situation, who are not ready today, and then you could just go boom, like you're here, always here, showing up, right? And there's this treadmill, or what do they call that, in the airports? You know what I'm talking about, right?
The slide.
The thing in the airport that moves, right? Kind of like a conveyor belt, right? So, someone leave that in the comments what that is, right? So whatever it is, but sellers are kind of like a conveyor belt. You stay here, you show up every day, and you do this. You don't want to be like chasing sellers all this way, right? You show up every day, following up with your top 30, right? They come through the conveyor belt, right? And you're there to then be there at the right place and right time. So we had some hot and warm. You dug into the database.
Yeah.
Kind of, you had what, 30 or 40 in there to start off with?
Yeah.
Okay. So tell us what happened with, out of those 30 or 40, kind of, the numbers.
Yeah. So I had about 5 that I'm going to continue following up. I labeled them B, with the exception of one was an A, and actually we're going to call them after this video.
Okay.
But what it was, out of those 5, there were, one that said, hey, I've been trying to clean this house out for 8 months. He didn't tell me that, but I looked in the notes that he's been trying to clean it out for 8 months. And he was still wanting to drag his feet. So when I called him, he was still in that process of cleaning it out.
Okay.
So another one,
let's talk about that lead for a second, right? By the way, is you're talking about a deal now that the company's been working for 8 months, still cleaning it out, right?
Yeah.
Let's talk about one of the key things that we've got to focus on, right, as a team. And if you're watching this and you're doing business in another part of the country, why is that important, right?
Yeah.
We talked about something that begins with a C.
Yeah. It's so important because if you've had someone, telling you that they're cleaning out their property for 8 months, they are motivated, but they just need someone to lead them to it.
Okay.
So they need us to push that forward for them, and they might not even be able to on their own. So one of the things that we're talking about today with this particular lead is how am I going to push him to move forward in a way where he knows he needs to get there, and in a way that it doesn't sound like I'm being pushy.
Right. Okay, so we talked about, obviously, the reason also for compressing timelines, right? And that's real important, right? Because if the sellers usually got into the situation, right, because they're natural procrastinators, right? And so if you let them keep procrastinating, you're going to be a perpetual state of pushing deals month after month after month after a month. And here's why this is really dangerous, is that when you're in business, and let's say you have a bad month in business, it's really easy to be like, well, okay, I'm going to close that month, right? Does that make sense? You're going to close that month. And so the next month you feel good because you're closing that deal, but what are you not doing?
You're not getting paid.
You're not getting paid. Well, you're not focused on the next deal, right? So by always kicking the can down the road, you have like this false sense of security, right? That,
you're
oh my
get
God,
that deal later.
that you're going to get that deal later. And so you're basically cutting your revenue every single month that you're letting deals drag and drag and drag. So one of the things that I'm most proud of, right, and I really want to instill, if you're watching this, and Noah's going to get this, but I think also that if you're watching this, if you're a solopreneur, to do in your own business or you're working with a team, is that you always want to be closing the deal, and as soon as that deal is done, hand it off to the appropriate people on your team, and mentally you are done with it, right? You want to close it as fast as you can, right? And then you're on to the next one, because that's what drives revenue, right? Is closing those deals immediately. You got to compress the timelines. Compressing timelines is what creates a thriving business. Okay, if you let deals close on their own, maturity date, they ain't coming, right? They're gonna need you. Think about this. So, we looked at this deal. This guy was like, "Yeah, I just gotta, finish working on the house." If we didn't look back on the notes, we'd never have known if it's 8 months, right? And so, if it hasn't happened in 8 months, it's not happening with a little bit of outside pressure, right? We're gonna turn up the heat, turn up the juice, right, and get that puppy cooking. So, by the way, feel free to leave questions or comments in the comments below as you watch this. By the way, if you are watching this on YouTube, very important, got to subscribe and you got to hit the notification bell, right? I got to get a couple signs that say subscribe and get the bell. But if you're watching this on Facebook, ask a question. We'd love to answer it here. So let's talk about some other leads, right? So I like that. You close the deal, got a pretty good lead. Hopefully you can compress the timeline and close that. Right, out of the 30 that you spoke to, how many did you kind of move off your plate, say, hey, this is not worth my time anymore?
A lot of them either had bad numbers, already had sold the property, or, so those ones, there were probably about 15 like that.
Okay, 15. So what were there, like 45 to begin with?
45.
Like 45, right? So we just got rid of 15, right? So now you got 30, right? 30 prospect, your mind is clear, right? Part of this is qualification, but in my opinion, a big part of it is disqualification, right? So now you got 30 people. You're not trying to get people off the phone as fast as humanly possible. You don't want to do that, right? You want to listen. You want to qualify. You want to connect. You want to compress the timeline and figure out who's a contender and who's the pretender, right? And so spending the time with the right people is going to be really important. So let's talk about maybe a couple of the leads, and then we'll take a question and end.
Cool. So another lead I got was an elderly man. He was in 91 here in East County.
Okay.
And he had an issue with a previous buyer coming by unannounced. So he kind of had a wall up and said, hey, I had to tell this guy I wasn't going to do business with him because he came over unannounced. And I got to talk to him and I started asking deeper questions. One of the things that I've been trying to do today, and found out, he had a little bit of security issues. So, having people come over to his private residence. So he shared a little more about what he wanted to do, which was sell. He wants to move to the Midwest. And I had to figure out exactly, why he wanted to sell. And I got to the point where he was interested in talking further with me. But since he was an older gentleman, he has his own style of doing business. So I had to learn how to adapt to him and not be that other buyer that's pushy.
Okay.
So, I had a
So let's go back. So what's the next step there?
So he did ask me to send him in the mail.
Okay.
A proposal.
Okay.
But more so than just a proposal, he was really interested in having us buy the property, lease it back to him for 30 days.
Okay.
So he can have some time to move out.
Okay.
So that was his main concern, is if I can stay in here for 30 days, pay you market rent.
Okay.
Have the time to move out. And I said, I may be able to do that for you.
Okay.
So he did want me to call back in 3 weeks.
Okay.
and then go from there.
Great. So do you have that on your calendar? Is it on Podio, task, everything like that?
Yep.
Great. So you know that. I like that, right? That's where you can add a layer of value, right? 30 days as a tenant. It's funny, sometimes sellers, someone could have offered the same thing, right? But if they put a wall up, right, everything that person says, like, wah, 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 right? And now you built that rapport.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. And then another one was the lady, she was already under contract on the property that I called about.
Right.
But she had another property, and she asked me what my name was, and I told her Noah, and she goes, "Oh wow, that's my favorite Bible character." she goes, "So you already have an advantage there."
There you go.
And I said, "All right." And then she also said, "I believe things happen for a reason." So I was like, "Me too." And what ended up happening there was her daughter was actually living there. She already moved out, but they want to clean it out a little more.
Okay.
And she told me to also call her back, and they're gonna make a decision. What the time frame?
Okay.
In the next 2 weeks.
Okay. Great. What could you have done better on there? I mean, they want to clean it out. Did you try to dig in and say, hey, is this absolutely necessary to clean out? Kind of what's your thoughts there?
So one thing I started doing is saying, hey, would it benefit you if you sold it to us without having to clean it out yourself?
Right.
And she said, yeah, I think that would. We just want to put my daughter's stuff in storage.
Ah, okay. So now you know a little bit of hot button, right? She wants that. Now here's one thing that I found, right, and something it's an advantage, is that her daughter's stuff in storage, and I've been through this. She's going to be calling to ask her daughter to come pick up her stuff, right? Now, if you're watching this, and if you could leave the comments below, let me know what's really going to happen there. I'd love that. But no, what do you think is going to happen when mom says, "Come pick up your stuff"?
Daughter's gonna say, "Not yet."
Not yet, right? Not yet. And so now that parents, obviously, their 1,500 square foot house has become a free storage unit. Yeah. And so this is where I think a lot of times too, you got to compress timelines and can be like, hey, great. I know you've been calling your daughter and she hasn't come. Would it be fair? Again, this is up to you, completely up to you. But would it be fair to actually set a deadline with your daughter, right? That she has to come pick up her stuff, or you're gonna sell the house with the stuff in it. Oh, yeah, that's a good idea. Well, what do you think would be fair to your daughter? Right? So this is how you push people forward, right? You don't give them the deadline, because if you give them the deadline, what's going to happen?
They'll push back.
They'll push back. So you say, hey, what do you think would be fair? Oh, well, I need to give her at least 30 days. Great. Okay, well, I'm writing this down right here. Can you call her today and say you're going to give her 30 days? And by the way, if you want to sell the house to us, great. If not, I totally understand. No is okay.
Yeah.
Right? No is okay, right? But no is okay. No is okay. And if by then you can decide if you want to move forward or not.
Yeah.
Right. So that's the way that you compress timelines, get deals closed, not have anything in fantasy land. So thank you for teaching us, my man. I appreciate it. I'm really big on the best way to learn is to teach. Right. First you listen, right. Then you do, then you teach. Right. Listen, do, teach. It's really, really going to sink in. This guy's going to crush it. First deal, first day, man. So pumped. High five. Give everybody here a virtual high five. Boom, for watching. Don't forget, by the way, head to Next Level Wholesaling. Download that assessment. Download that assessment. It's going to tell you where you are in your business and acquisition, disposition, marketing, and counting and cash flow. Leave a comment below if you're watching on Facebook, or a question. If this is on YouTube and you're watching, hit the subscribe button. Don't forget to hit the notifications. And we'll see you guys on the next video.
Later.